This is going to be a fun one. Optimist versus Strained. Now, I have already covered Optimist in a previous video, which I will link in the description. But just to do a quick recap, Optimist doesn't actually stack per 10% missing ammo. It stacks per bullet, which is weird. And because of the overall effect of Optimist and the fact that although it is effectively very quick stacking because it goes per bullet, you're only getting like 0.204% increase per bullet. You're getting an absolute minuscule amount. The only real time you'll notice a larger jump in damage is the start of the end magazine to the end of the magazine. If you literally compare, both would need to be crits or non-crits, but if you literally compared the first bullet to the last bullet, you would see a 30% increase. It is essentially the best of the worst when it comes to the DPS talents. I like it because it's lazy. Like, I don't need to do anything to proc it or anything weird and wacky or sustained fire. I can just shoot and it automatically applies. Strained, on the other hand, has a few caveats. One, its maximum potential relies on your sustainability. Two, you have to be continually firing. You build up 10% critical hit damage every 0.5 seconds that you are firing. And if you stop firing for 0.5 seconds, you lose all of your stacks. Obviously, Optimist, without going into Perfect Optimist, that's a bit later on, Optimist has a max of 30%. The plus side to this is that it will affect your crits and your non-crits. It's just base weapon damage. Strained, on the other hand, has a max potential of 50%, but it only affects your crits. What you will notice, and hopefully I'm demonstrating if you're watching the DPS counter on the right, is Optimist should be able to consistently get higher DPS. Strained, on the other hand, depending on your crit chance, and if you are using Strained and you're not at 60% crit chance, then I would suggest you either get to 60% crit chance or you don't use Strained. Because of how Strained only works off of crits, you need to get your maximum potential in crits ASAP. However, with all that being said, you should notice that with Strained, you should have a lower TTK. You should be able to kill things quicker. This obviously can fluctuate a bit because it is completely dependent on your crits. Now, this is Strained on FAMAS. By the time I hit max stacks, I basically need to reload. I would argue that putting Strained on a weapon like FAMAS is... I mean, it works, don't get me wrong, you will get damage, but then this is an ACR with 625 RPM. It does, well, in the long run, it can actually outperform FAMAS because of where I'm able to stay at maximum potential for longer. The overall build-up of Strained is 2.5 seconds. It's 5 stacks, half a second each, 2.5 seconds. FAMAS will burn through its entire mag in 3.3 seconds, which means you have less than 1 second left at your maximum potential. The ACR, on the other hand, takes 4.8 seconds to go from a full mag to an empty mag. This means that we have just over 2 seconds at full maximum potential with that extra 50% crit chance. I personally would argue that any weapon that has a higher RPM than Carbine 7, which is 790, is not worth putting Strained on. That's just my personal opinion. Just because you're able then to keep your maximum potential of Strained up longer, and this will equate to effectively more damage. The best weapon for Strained is, of course, the beloved AKM, which has a grand total of 600 RPM. 600 divided by 60 is 10, and then 50 rounds divided by your 10 rounds per second is obviously 5, which means it will take you 2.5 seconds to get to max stacks, and you now have 2.5 seconds to stay at max stacks. Now, this is the build I'm running with Carbine 7. Top one is with Optimist, the bottom one is with Strained. I've equated these to their maximum potential because going through stack by stack, honestly, this spreadsheet would probably be down at like 340 cells. So please keep in mind that all calculations done with this are those at max stack. So that's 5 stacks of Strained and all 10 stacks of Optimist. Now you should see here that the Optimist side, the non-crits are doing more than the Strained for obvious reasons. Optimist affects both of your non-crits and your crits, and as well as Strained, the crits will do more than the crits on Optimist. If we add these both together, which I'm going to do for you now, so that would be your, because we're at 60% crit chance, and this is just going to be a rough average. We're assuming that 60% on this is 60% crit chance means that 60% of our bullets will crit. That is obviously not the case in actual game, but it gives us a rough guide. So if we add these together, times our non-crits by 20 and our crits by 30, add them together, that's 50 rounds. We will see that our Optimist build gets 23,250,329 damage. Or when you round it up, it goes to 330 damage. Now for Strained, it goes to 23,677,620, which means overall, technically speaking, Strained will give you more damage than Optimist, just because the gap is so much larger on the crits. You're not actually losing too much on your non-crits, about 22k, but on your crits you're gaining like 30 to 40k. That being said, there is one caveat to this, which is this. This is Shield Splinterer. Okay, just going to adjust the board here. So this is of course assuming that you have 2 F2000s. One is Shield Splinterer for Perfect Optimist, and on the other F2000 you have Strained. When all is said and done on this, so the all weapon damage goes to 1.4 because Perfect Optimist goes to 40%. We're having to remove 5% crit damage because we are missing a mod slot. But yeah, you should notice that when it comes to Optimist, the only weapon you really should be using with it is Shield Splinterer, just because it actually offers that much more. You can use Optimist on any weapon you like, play your way, absolutely, but the only real weapon that gets the maximum potential and effect from Optimist is Shield Splinterer itself. Other than that, I would personally suggest you, for any other weapon, if you've got Optimist on it, find something else. Ranger is a very good one, Breadbasket is a good one, if you want to go for pure sustain, fast hands. But yeah, typically speaking, Strained is best on slower firing weapons because you're able to get max potential. Optimist is not that good unless it's on Shield Splinterer, and I'm hoping that clears it up. Have fun, good luck, don't die, it's bad for the health.